Dead air.
Assumes no responsibility. And Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
U.S. elections lack integrity. Here we go, folks. There's somebody's. Is your mic on? Check your. Somebody's being an asshole. Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm just reeling at our most recent, technological gaffe.
Every button that shouldn't have been off was off today.
But it makes you wonder. It's really timely that today we have our friend Randy Gutenberger coming on, because I think people are edgy. I think we need to talk about frustration, tension, people that unfortunately have suicidal thoughts. We know suicide is up. We know that as a society, seasonally, suicides increase during the holidays. People become overwhelmed. They can't deal with all the stress. They don't realize that most stress is self-induced.
Can't live up to expectations.
Worrying about nothing. But we're going to have our friend Randy Gutenberger will be in here bottom of the hour to talk about managing that, not diagnosing that. We're not trying to be your doctor.
No.
We're talking about how you manage, how you choose to react to certain things. And believe it or not, you do make a choice. Your psyche makes a choice. But just right there, and with no poke at you, you're like, I can't believe this didn't work. And it's the season, I think. We're frustrated. It's the end of the year. And for people like us, the tax man looms. You start thinking about what you're not getting done at work, and how those of us that are working are wondering why nobody else is working as hard. Those of us that are at home are wondering how we're going to pay our bills. Should be an interesting segment with Randy, and we enjoy him. He's got a great perspective, a great sense of humor, and a great story.
And we'll talk to him bottom of the hour. Before we get there, let's do this.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at Deerland Feed. Really, for everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. If you need pesticides, if you need fertilizers, if you need saddle and tack, you want a special pocket knife, it just goes on and on. All your farm and ranch and house chemicals, they've got them all.
They do. Anything you need for your ag, for your pets.
Great store. 61 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 75. It's going to be windy. So picture it. There's a beautiful full moon setting as we speak. Mostly clear sky. That sky is going to become windy and then cloudy over the day. And tonight and through the morning, we're expecting a pretty decent 40% chance of rain. So we've seen.
When does it get cold? Are we expecting like near freezing?
Got a low of 36 on Thursday.
All right. That's all we want to know. Any snow in the forecast?
Let's just call it yes. There's a chance it'll snow on New Year's Eve. How about this? You've got a 60% chance of rain tomorrow, 70% on Thursday. So it's going to rain over parts of Victoria over the next 48 hours.
Iceman, first one in. Good morning to you, Ice. Judge Posey checking in. Good morning, Judge. Terry Murray's in. Bobby Leister, good morning on a pre-Caldo Wednesday. He calls it. Rena Scherer, good morning.
Good morning, Judge Posey. Judge Posey actually just sent a cease and desist order to Justin Switalski stating that he actually was the first one in, not the Iceman.
David Glass checking in. Lisa Poole, Patrick Strauss, Bobby Leister, 590 YouTubers on the Leisterometer.
Thanks, China.
Justin Glass, Randy Gutenberger, good morning to you.
There
We'll
he
check
is.
in with you in a little bit. Andy Schneider's in. AJ Louderback, good morning, Sheriff. Chris Conrad checking in. CW Bean.
Hello, Sheriff.
Joe Mitchell says the Cowboys add to his stress.
They do.
I stopped stressing over the Cowboys when they were 2-11.
There's the king of the greater Phoenix metro area, Pat Irby, the pickleball champion of Arizona.
Morning to you, Pat. I'm looking forward to breaking out my pickleball set I got.
He's the champion of the senior division, but he will thrash a younger man just for grins. You ever play tennis with an old man that just stands in one spot and just like
And whips your ass.
and you're just running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, that's Pat Irby. He's just over there just torching your dreams.
Rob Moore Knipling. Andy Schneider says he has to go to settling today. You might want to tune in at 7:30 before you go to settling.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've had people tell me that suddenly it's kind of trying to give them the chorizo. They don't know exactly what's going on. Their bill just went up. Lord knows their service couldn't be any worse.
H.R. Mallory, Monica Jost. Good morning, everybody.
When
Glad you're all here this
VEC
morning. Nikki Vincent.
when Victoria Electric Co-op gets their internet product rolled out completely, are we eligible for that anywhere in the city, or do you have to be
I don't think so.
you have to be a VEC qualified customer, right?
No, I think it's outside the city only at this point.
Okay. Is that via contract? Is that like all the garbage that, no
Yeah.
pun intended, that inhibits our friends at White Trash?
Yep. I think it's exactly what it is.
Iceman talking about jerky leaks. He's very upset about the price of jerky.
Yeah.
Good morning, Nikki Vincent.
Where do we start this morning? I mean, there's a UK regulator set to approve a new COVID vaccine. So this would be the third one made available. This one, AstraZeneca, is a little different. Doesn't need to be stored at, minus 800 degrees Fahrenheit. So they say you can just store this one in the refrigerator. So that would make it a whole lot easier to transport, a whole lot easier to store. I find it interesting. I think right now, the tally I saw, 11 million vaccines have been given. That's it.
It makes you
150
wonder,
million of those were ordered by the president.
is it ever really going to happen, or is it just going to kind of go away? I mean, is it any different? Is this vaccine really any different than getting the flu shot for that particular year's particular strain of influenza virus? Is this not, by the time they vaccinate 7 billion of us,
Which they don't do for the flu.
right, which they don't even give them 7 billion people a cup of rice. You really think they're going to give them a vaccine? Really? You really think they're going to go to Ethiopia, go out into the woods, find somebody, and actually give them a vaccine? I don't. So my question is this particular virus going to morph in such a way as to render, well, there's no reason to give this last 3.5 billion because now we have a new virus?
Probably.
I mean, the whole thing is like, where's the P? Where's the P? Constant. It just emphasizes the WHO, the World Health Organization. It just begs of and smacks of one world government. We all must do this together. It's just a one world government. They're just
You don't care about
indoctrinating you.
anybody if you're not for the vaccine or you don't believe
You've
the
got to
COVID
care.
threat is real.
You've got to care. So we're going to shape your mind. We're going to take something that nobody can be against. And in fact,
Other people living.
our own government is kind of doing a one world government. Think about it with this stimulus package. We're going to send money to Pakistan for gender studies. It's a global initiative. Yes, it's brought on by the COVID, but these are things that need to be done. And we're just going to do it in the name of
Well, it was
good
two
citizens.
bills: stimulus bill and the ongoing 1.4 trillion or whatever the heck it was to keep
Yeah,
the government going. But again,
craziness.
I mean, take the COVID piece out of it. The money that we're earmarking for projects, it just doesn't.
You're
In
gonna
other
have-
countries that don't make any sense, I mean, doesn't make a difference, doesn't make any sense.
Well, you're going to start having, a new world anthem. It'll be something along the lines of "We Are the World" with a side verse of "Imagine." John Lennon's "Imagine."
I somehow pictured more like the Soviet Union national anthem. That's kind of where I went.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's crazy, Tim, and it's very subtle, very subtle. I can remember as a kid. You remember the show? You remember the show with Billy Crystal? What was it called?
Soap.
Soap. Very funny, but it was groundbreaking. It was the first time that you ever had any consistent humor about homosexuality or any of that on primetime television. And for those of you under the age of 50, primetime television used to matter from 7 to 10 at night, after Walter Cronkite and before the evening news, before the nightly news. That was prime time. And to have that on the air, it raised a ruckus. Looking back now, it was completely harmless. I mean, but that's why. Looking back now, I remember my dad telling me, I remember my dad saying to me, just be careful in life because the things you laugh at today are the things that you'll just accept as fact tomorrow. And I've heard great comedians say that good humor is when you get people laughing and you hit them between the eyes with the truth. A guy like Chris Rock is really good at that. Dave Chappelle these days has been very outspoken.
Things you laughed at 10 years ago, you can't laugh at today, or you'll be blasted on social media for laughing.
See, Lisa Poole, Soap. I wasn't allowed to watch it. You're right. And you look back now, and it's harmless. I'd love to talk to Billy Crystal about it and just say, can you get him on the show?
And really, it was a prime time. I mean, it was almost a mock
of soap
operas.
Yeah, but it was the idea that, and I also remember when those were popular. I don't think I think more men watch Young and Restless than women. I mean, when I was a little guy, my mom watched As the World Turns every day. Every day she sat down and watched As the World Turns.
I remember Another World was that the one? Being on
Another World, yeah. Days of Our Lives.
I watched a lot of Days through high school and college.
Do you remember that as a kid?
I remember going to my grandma's, and Young and Restless would come on at like 4:30 or 5 or something. It was on later in the afternoon. She'd have us over for dinner, and nothing could start until her program was over.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. James Kerr says Mel Brooks. Those days are over, man. Mel Brooks, the utilization of quality satire, you can't do it anymore.
Satire doesn't exist
anymore.
Satire
is dead. You can't do it in a public forum because you're either going to be racist or you're going to be misogynistic,
or you're going to be banned by Facebook, like Facebook did with the Babylon Bee.
But misogyny is funny. I mean, xenophobia is funny. It can be funny, and I believe humor can relieve stress. This is going to lead us back into Randy Gutenberger. You get to laughing about something that gives you anxiety. And if you can laugh about it, then you can manage it. We'll let him come in. He just made a note right now. I said that, and he just made a note to say, Brent, you were almost right.
Almost.
But here's where you were wrong. Tell you where I am right. Allen's Record Service, 578-6300. Watch the roads this morning. Watch the ditches. Over the next 2 days, see, as you drive in this town with all the projects going on and all the dust and silt and oil, that all puts a film on the road. And when it just gets a little bit of water on it, it becomes ice slick. Be aware that Allen's Record Service is there if you need them. 578-6300. Gil Garcia. Where are all the white women? How about this, Gil? If I come back with, mind if we dance with your dates? Leading. What a great idea. Allen's Record Service, folks, 578-6300. Allen will get you out of the ditch, out of a bind safely. Secure a scene. Make sure that you don't exacerbate or exaggerate your problems. There you have it. The VCS Company's Rocket Oilfield Services and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer. I had the opportunity yesterday to talk to Mr. H, Mr. Jim Hartman. A clear sign the man doesn't listen to the show. He said he was proud to be our sponsor and looked forward to another year.
Clear sign.
Clearly, he doesn't tune in.
No.
But the Hartman family has been so good to us, so gracious.
Banner sponsor.
All the way down with Kelly and JR, and of course Miss Jennifer. Don't kid yourself. Who runs?
Oh
yeah. It's an oligarchy. We love them. The Hartman family. Reach out if you need surround sound surveillance. If you want to put in a new, surround sound. Sir Mark Zapata says,
we already did that this morning, Mark. You're a little late this morning.
We already whipped it out.
Yeah. But yeah, for all your communication needs, VCS.
Fantastic.
Chesney
Furniture, 100 years.
For all your furniture needs.
West Wanland, 116 West Wanland, corner of Wanland and Bridge.
Sneaking up on 101 years.
Yeah.
In business.
In January. Coming up 100 years. 70 right there at that location. Get down there and check it out. And then for like 20 years at their location, get over to Veracruz. Just as good as it gets. Best Mexican food in town. I have people that come in from out of town. They're like, take me to that Veracruz place. So it's phenomenal. And when you take somebody that's never been, give us a small queso. Yeah, we need another guacamole. Yeah, we need some more chips because the chips are fresh and hot. The hot sauce is the best there is, period.
Yeah, no questions.
The queso's great. And then they get the guac, and it's just fantastic. There's not a weakness.
No, not at all.
There's not a weakness. You want beef enchiladas, they've got them. Cheese, chicken, on and on. Veracruz is just the go-to Mexican dining in Victoria.
Fans of Full House can breathe easier this morning because Lori Laughlin's out of prison.
Oh, good. She was in for a while.
A couple months. Her husband's still in. He's serving 5 months. They spent $500,000 in bribes to get their kids into USC. Remember their kids were on the rowing team and had never rowed outside of a rowing machine in a gym?
Right. And even that was just to work out.
That was basically just to get them into the doors, and then they stopped showing up and quit,
we dismissed that
They
deal
quit the rowing team.
Kind of out of hand, that idea of being in jail, being incarcerated. Oh, it was just a couple of months. Tell you what, I was in jail once for a couple of hours. And let me tell you, once you start going, man, you go to the bathroom, you got to ask somebody. Oh, by the way,
orange is the new black.
You can't leave. Hey, if this building caught on fire right now, I wonder where I'm at on the evacuation list. Are they grabbing their laptop first or me? And then when you start having that feeling of, and it's just very un-American to have that feeling of you can't leave. You want to leave, but you can't. And that, I think, ties us right back into Randy Gutenberger. You're going to be looking at people that want to travel. People that don't travel are upset because they can't travel. You know what I mean? Our country's on lockdown. I was going to go to Europe this summer. Bill, you never left Victoria County.
Yeah.
I was going to go, me and Mama. Then they get all worked up about that.
What did Andy Schneider say? Something up here that one I thought was pretty interesting.
Good morning, T-Lat. I know you're listening. Good morning.
3 more days of 15% or greater, and small business owners will get violated again.
Oh,
hospital capacity.
Yeah, hospital capacity.
Lockdowns coming.
Come on, people. If you're sick, you stay at home.
Well, read a couple of surveys or studies last night. One out of China, take it with a grain of salt, but another one that was larger.
China.
The Chinese study was trying to find a correlation to outdoor activity and the coronavirus. 7,000 people that they contact traced through this study to find out where. Only 2 of them could they with certainty declare that they contracted the coronavirus outdoors.
Right. Well, that's because they want them to work.
Yeah. Well, they're in the factory. So
you're in a rice paddy.
Or an apple factory.
Right.
Another study over almost 12,000 people, I think, in this country. And again, the number of people that contracted coronavirus outdoors, like less than 2%. And that's just contracting the virus, not talking about outcomes or anything like that. But it runs counterintuitive to what we're doing. We're locking people down. Mm-hmm. These 2 studies of almost 20,000 people have shown the worst thing you can do.
Is
Lock people in their houses inside. And then, interestingly enough, going down this rabbit hole, because you start reading these and there's links to other things. Another study showed that one of the problems we have and why our immune systems are so bad is because all we do is antibacterialize everything in our houses. There are no good microbes alive because we use antibacterial soap and antibacterial cleaner and antibacterial this and UV lights to kill this. And it's destroying any good microbes that would be inside our homes that help our immune systems.
Hey, Wang Chi, can we make phones outside today? It's funny. It is funny. And we've joked about this. Of course, I inappropriately joked about this from the first baby, but Dawn's sister, Lacey, they have two beautiful children. Emery is now, I guess she's probably 3, and her little brother is 1. Well, when the first baby came along, when Emery was born, we were air drying the bottle nipples. We didn't want to use any of the towels that might have some soap residue on them. We air dried those on a little dowel. If a pacifier was dropped, if it wasn't summarily dispatched to the garbage, it was at least boiled before it was given back to her. You know the drill. You know the drill. And anti-fragrance soap, yada yada yada. Second kid comes along. He's 1. Still having to manage the 3-year-old. The 1-year-old walked around the other day, this big old green booger, and Uncle Brent wipes his nose, and she goes, "That's okay. We're just building his immune system." I said, "That's right. You're building his immune system, and he is a tank." That's my man, baby Brooks. He is a load. Chris
Conner says the only good microbe is a dead microbe.
Right? Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Yeah, well, that is one thing. That's something else we're going to talk to Randy Gutenberger about, is the idea that, folks, we can't have some of the stuff that we're doing with the coronavirus is like if Ash showed up with a hangnail. And my logic was to lop off his hand because with 8 stitches, I can solve his problem. The cure.
8?
Yeah, well, it's not a very big wrist. They're big stitches. We'd probably use staples on that.
Probably.
Just fold the skin under. The cure can't be worse than
Stanley's tail when I'm
waving. Oh, I didn't know what you were practicing. Can't be worse than the disease. By the way, we got some really good feedback yesterday on our Canadian townships, and from Moose Knuckle to
no, we can't revisit.
But the key is that we will be doing a study soon of some of those cities and see if there's any more humor in Canada. Now's a good time to tell you about Atzenhofer. We're going to do this so we can get Randy on at the bottom of the hour. The Atzenhofer dealership since 1926 is just quite simply Victoria's dealership. Others have come and gone, Goad, Bowles. It just goes on. There was a one that began with a W.
I don't know that one.
It was a Buick and GMC dealer down there where Atzenhofer now has their, outdoor sports, Velocity Motorsports. It just Wilkinson. It just goes on and on. There's a bunch of them that come and go through the years, but Atzenhofer.
Butler plant at one time too.
I don't know, the one that's on Navarro on the left.
Yeah,
there you go. But Atzenhofer's seen them come, seen them go. Since Miss Kip bought that first Chevy back in 1926.
You have to wonder when the new one comes. Tommy just sit there. Is he waving high or bye? Because he knows they're going to be here long after that one leaves.
Same as it ever was.
Yep.
Same as it ever was. So you've got that Atzenhofer since 1926. Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi. They've got them all. Tremendous pre-owned department. They only keep the best of the best.
And check out Atzenhofer.com.
There you go. White Trash Services talked to BJ and Scott Nelson last night.
Yeah, happy birthday to their son Carter. So he turned 16.
We don't
do that, but if we ever did,
we would say, but he's a fine kid. 16 years old. Seeing his get together kind of reminded me that there's some good kids in the world. Got himself a brand new truck to drive at the age of 16 with pushing 300,000 miles on it. Yeah, I was just saying, I wonder how he likes that dump bed on the back. It'll haul a roll-off dumpster. Put the kid to work. 550-1826. BJ was quite pleased that you have signed up for White Trash Services. You're not just a
spokesperson,
spokesperson, you're a
empty
customer.
spokesperson.
Hair Club for Men called. They want their money back. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull, his team of geniuses. JP is like the interface between the extreme nerd and you. He can help you understand what's going on with your analytics, who's approaching your website, why they're approaching your website, how they're trying to hack into your data. He can help you with encryption. He can help you with money collection. He can help you get what you need and keep what you got without letting other people get involved.
Yeah.
Trust me, the Indians, the Chinese, and the Russians are attacking your website every day. Uncle Mud's Barbecue, get over there and attack that. Attack the brisket, the chicken, the sausage, the ribs. You like ribs. All the side dishes. They open about 11. Don't rush it.
8 o'clock tonight.
You don't want anything that heavy at like 10:30 anyway. Wait a minute. You ain't doing no breakfast biscuit. This ain't no trendy deal. This is real South Texas barbecue, the best in the region, no doubt about it. Good morning, Heather Munro, M-U-N-R-O.
CW Bean says he hears the CDC released hydroxychloroquine. We touched on it a little bit yesterday, but then interestingly enough,
I thought it was the FDA that did that.
Yeah, one of them now can be used. It's interesting that all this stuff the president touted. Well, now, seems either he was right. Well, he obviously was right, but they hated him so much that he couldn't be right until now that it appears he won't be in power anymore, and then everything's good. But a huge, I think that one of the largest pharmaceutical factories in the world in Taiwan blew up right before Christmas. Didn't start hearing about this till yesterday. Just happens to be the second largest hydroxychloroquine manufacturing plant in the world.
Because the Bidens and the Gates and the people that are behind and Pfizer, they don't make any money. You can just make it go away with a generic. Hey, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. Shh, don't tell them that. We need to vaccinate the world.
Yeah.
People are gullible. People are dumb. People in general, it's been somewhat sad. I think it leads to depression. People are sheep. Do you really think it's a coincidence that the second largest producer of a generic over-the-counter drug that's cheap, that plant blew up?
No.
You really think that's just a fluke accident?
And they couldn't put the fire out for 2 days because of gases in the sewer. Come on, really? And this is Taiwan. This isn't third world country. I mean, Taiwan is one of the leading capitalist societies with huge modern infrastructure. And you want me to believe that they built a plant that couldn't somehow manage the sewer gases to keep a fire
Chris Conrad says it's all George Soros. The guy is a Bond villain come to life. It is interesting. I mean, if these aren't times that make you go, then you ain't too smart. And I think it leads to issues. Hey, good morning, Wade and Carter. We can't talk right now. We're expecting a caller. Oh, it's you. Okay. All right.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hello. Yeah. The laptop's got a little bit of delay. In fact, you'd probably be better off just turning that off and just talk to us. Tell us about your feelings.
Well, you could do that. You could just.
How does that make you feel that you can't look at us while you talk to us?
There you go.
Well, welcome, sir.
It's like watching a badly dubbed kung fu movie from the 70s.
We're joined right now by our friend and somebody else who's smarter than us that comes on the show, Randy Gutenberger. You can call him Goot. You can call him Randolph. He's very amicable. He chooses not to let things you do affect the way he does what he does. So he's the author.
More so with Brent than me.
The author of a book called Manage Your Crazy Self. And managing your crazy self. Yes, and the idea that you can manage just, you know what, sir, you're smarter than us. Just take a minute and tell people what you want them to know. We'll let you know if it raises any questions. Right. Absolutely. See, I like that.
Do we need to stop planning every minute of every moment of our lives and our kids' lives? Is that kind of where we've gotten with parents? And I was having this discussion last night. Gone are the days where you just ran out your front door, went and knocked on your friend's door, and you all went and ran around the neighborhood and played. No, somebody's got to call somebody's mom, and somebody's got to arrange a play date from 3:45 in the afternoon until 4:15, not a minute more, not a minute
And
earlier.
everybody gets a baggie of goodies when you leave. Like if you have a birthday party, you have to give a gift. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
Well, and we are a social animal by nature.
Randy, something I like about your concepts and the way you've taken data and evolved it into your program is while it is not by definition faith-based, it's never faith contrary. You know, you were saying that we want to that we get an energy by being together is consistent with Christ saying, whenever two or more of you are gathered in my name, I am there with you. And the communal atmosphere of worship. How I have had many moments out on the bay by myself where I felt the presence of God. Looking at the sunrise, absorbing, relaxing my brain, absorbing the beauty, but never the emotional uplift I feel when I'm in communal worship with a group of believers. So what I keep listening to you as a person of faith and saying, one of these days he's going to say something that contradicts my faith. And the reality is you never do. You know, it's like Dave Ramsey kind of, you know. And it just, I mean, it's not Bible beating people. It's just like, hey, you know, there's some science here. Everybody wants to follow the science these days. There you go. Right. Other people are lonely. Other people are sad. That's why there's bars. Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Well, a great example.
Maybe the guy in Nashville, but
right. Yeah, a great example is I can remember as a kid, everybody my age wanted to be an astronaut, and I got to the point where it became part of what I would say. Hey, I've got to accept it. I'm never going to pitch in the big leagues. I'm never going to be an astronaut. I'm too old. Well, guess what? With Elon Musk, I could probably be an astronaut if I really wanted to.
yeah.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, we got a big problem.
I got to go big potty. You can't do it. You'll never get it done. You know it's the 3rd of January. You're not going to get your resolution done. you start beating yourself down. We're our own worst enemy.
Yeah. For those just tuning in, we're joined with Randy Gutenberger and appreciate him calling in and sharing us the author of Managing Your Crazy Self and a new book coming out. But we're just trying to find ways. This was a very timely topic given this year and the isolation and the COVID issues and, a horrifying stat that we reported on about right before Christmas that overdose deaths are up significantly this year. And the numbers had been climbing, but significantly higher in this last year than the numbers had shown over the previous 4 years. And of course, there's some are saying that's because of, the lockdowns and the businesses being shut down and what have you. But Randy, what are you seeing as it relates to the response by people to COVID? Is it as bleak as what we're seeing and reporting?
Right. No doubt about it. And what does that do? What does that do to the average American who now, if you would have taken a poll in 2019, how many of you have a general trust in your government? Make it as benign a question as you can. That number is significantly skewed to the negative in 20. I mean, we've been lied to, manipulated, overgoverned, overmanaged, exposed to the world. Right. Just the guy that usually dies of a heart disease. Right.
That's a good question.
Right.
One we've asked many times.
Exactly. Right. Real quick, one of our listeners, it's Peter McNally, says, hey, no big deal, 335,000 dead. But Pete, put it in perspective. Number one, as we said, 250,000 people, and that's just a number he threw off the top of his head. They die anyway, heart disease, stroke.
2.5 million.
2.5 million?
I think every year.
Okay, so look at this. 335,000 people is 1/10 of 1% of this country. If the report is right, if all of those bodies were directly because of COVID, it's 1/10 of 1%. If America let me tell you what happened here.
But here's the thing: we haven't 335,000 more people haven't died this year.
No, still just 2.5 million. But here's the deal: if America got half as bent and threw 1/10 of the money at diabetes, cancer, heart disease, we would eliminate they're throwing around trillions of dollars under the guise of, well, we've got to do something. It's the worst thing since Sodom and Gomorrah. And it's just not. And you fools fall for it. You're just like, oh, please take my grandkids. true. See, the words that make us laugh aren't acceptable anymore. Jeff Fonseca
Say them
says,
to yourselves.
Jeff Fonseca, a top fan, says,
So when I'm walking around muttering to myself and laughing as a result, I'm not crazy anymore.
right. And the way, I've read the book, and all of this is straight out of the book. And I believe I have a couple of copies of the book. If I can find it, I will. We will give a few away here on the show. I want to tell you, it says, thanks, Randy, for calling in. Jeff Fonseca is a top fan. He says, I loved your work in Police Academy.
Julie Flessner says humor is her favorite coping mechanism. But it
You
sounds
may
like
not know why, but that's why.
But it sounds like it's more than that, isn't it, Randy? It's not just a way to cope. Hold that point. We got to take a break, but I do want to come back and we'll explore the how on the other side of this break. If you have a party, the how is easy. Gray Barn. Give Cheryl a call, 920-6803. She will take all the stress of decorating, making that event look absolutely the best that it can, so you can actually enjoy your event.
Yeah, you can just walk around muttering your favorite phrase and acronym, and Cheryl will take care of the problem. Call Went Services. Went Electrical, Went Solar. You need solar panels that go to a battery backup. You need a gas or propane-powered generator.
Kohler, Briggs & Stratton, Cummins, all your favorite brands that you rely on every day.
They're all there.
They've got them all.
The folks at Budget Blinds in the UPS store, they're the same people. The Houseworks are local. To me, they're icons. They're always active. They're part of the chamber. They give back constantly. They also have 2 UPS shipping locations for you, and Budget Blinds carries all the top brands, Levelor, all that. Get rid of that ugly sheer that your grandmother left you. It was a curd at one point. It's so sun bleached. It's now a sheer. Get rid of that and get some blinds in there and upgrade your house. USA Concrete Coatings, 578 Home.
Give a call to Charlie Garcia and the gang. They can transform any concrete surface into something that you can be proud to have. It will restore any sort of patio that you had that's broken down.
Pool deck, sidewalk, garage floor. Fantastic. So
578 Home's the number to call.
I'm going to try. I've got a few copies of the book. If I get one, I'll send it to Pete McAnally just to get him. He's an academic. He's a smart guy.
So we talked a little bit before the break, Randy, about coping. So how do we switch that so it's not a coping but a how to, the how of this? How do you switch that on and change, I guess, that perspective so you're not coping but you're learning to manage. How do we get to that point? Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple as a kid.
You know, you just made me think of something I haven't thought of in 50 years, honestly. And the reality is so I had a buddy across the street, neighbor, best friend, running buddy, a guy named Curtis Harris. He and I ran the streets over there between Mistletoe and Milam for a decade. And I can remember that we would say 7, 8 years old, we'd jump up on the fence, climb up on the roof of his house. We'd sit up there at night sometimes and just sit up there and look at the stars and stuff. And looking back, it was a little bit mischievous. We probably weren't supposed to be there, but we weren't doing anything wrong. So we were really kind of exerting our independence.
Till you fell off.
Yeah, no, never fell. Very adept back then. But that's the first time I've thought about that in 50 years. And that's where we talked about, well, I want you to be in my wedding someday too, you know, when I was 8 years old, 7 years old. So yeah, thanks for that. That's good stuff. That was my happy place.
Andy Schneider said, that sounds kinky.
Amen. Amen. What's interesting to me is what you're saying. There's people that are listening right now that might be good. By the way, this is Randy Gutenberger, Guttenberger. You can find him on Facebook. There's a website. We'll give you that in a minute. But people listen to some of this and go, it's kind of Pollyannic. You know, that's not really going to work. But what you haven't done, you haven't said that you need people to do, you know, rub some magic bean 7 times. You're just saying, hey, tell your spouse you love them. Tell them why you love them. And then just let that foster. I mean, I know I've got a great example. One way that I know Dawn loves me, and you know Dawn well. One way that I know Dawn loves me is Dawn will take the time to say, hey, put the laptop up, get it off your lap, pay attention to your family, live in the minute, live in this moment with us. And you know, it's a tough lesson for me. I live with a laptop on my lap, but she's right. You know, and that action by her shows her love, that she cares that I'm involved in the family. I like your headphones, Ash.
Thank you.
They're nice.
I like that. I like that shirt.
There you go.
And I don't want to be the negative, and I don't want to be the negative Nelly here, but you go to work and you tell somebody they look nice, and next thing you know, the HR department's calling you because they think you're harassing them.
You don't have to be like, you've seen that.
Yeah.
You've seen the Tom Brady skit from Saturday Night Live where he walks up to the girl's desk in his whitey tighties and like a shirt and tie, goes, "Hey, Lisa, you look hot today. Want to go to lunch?" Sure.
You can't do that.
The other guy's just kind of an average Joe, and he goes, "Hi, Lisa, you sure look nice today." She's like, "Oh, creeper." She calls HR.
It depends who's delivering the message.
Right. Well, I'll.
And you were in Victoria about a year or so ago,
Year and a half.
bringing this to Victoria. So some are probably familiar.
Well, I went to that seminar with Dr. Smith, and I'll tell you the other thing is the book is an easy read. It's a one-day read. It's beautifully illustrated. It's funny. It's obviously topical.
It's been a while, but if I recall, there's an ostrich that's key to this.
And
correct?
a rhinoceros. Well, we if we get enough people together, I bet we could probably get Randy to come down and do a Wade and Carter seminar on this. I bet we could. He likes to eat steak. You've done one great thing today. Jeff Fonseca says that his corduroy OP shorts are going back in the garage. So he's
Hang on to those.
change.
Those are worth a fortune on eBay if they're original from the 80s.
Absolutely. Randy, tell us one more time. Tell them the website. managingyourcrazy.com. What? Can you help people that are overserved? Because New Year's Eve is coming up. Lisa Poole just asked, do you know anything about NAC being used for nail biting,
ruminating, etc.?
Awesome. It's an inspirational topic, and it's an inspirational conversation with you every time we do it. So plan to come back. We need to get you down to Victoria. And we're going to have to run today, but I want to tell you folks, there you go. managingyourcrazy.com. The book's available on Amazon. It's like $15. I mean, it's not like you're gonna. It'd be a great gift for yourself, and then pass it on to the people in your house. You know, I mean, I'm sure Randy would appreciate if you ordered one for everybody in your house, but you could just pass it around the house. Everybody can read it. And
we appreciate your time.
We appreciate you,
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, most of our listeners have some issues, so we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Absolutely. That's the biggest issue.
God bless, and let's talk soon, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Randy. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Folks, we can't stay much longer. The Hall of Famers out there chomping at the bit.
Look at the brother, man. He's already up. He's like running in his spot. He's ready to go.
He's got his headphones on, like his little plugs just hanging out, just going everywhere. But I'll tell you, we like that guy. We like he's an infectious speaker. When you listen to him, you find yourself going, that's it. We tell people all the time, refuse to be a victim. Hey, don't be Debbie Downer. This is a real practical way to move towards that in your own life. So
I'm glad Randy could join us today.
Super guy. Folks, we're going to get out and Fonzie, we love you, brother. Y'all have a great day. We'll be here tomorrow.
We will.
Tomorrow is the new Friday because the brother man is going to be here. I know